reported 90 players now with Equanimous St. Brown signing, taking, in essence, George Oden's spot on the 90-man roster. Practice today in Santa Clara. I'm wearing my University of Pacific shirt, a shout out to the days where the 49ers had training camp there many years ago. And now they've been having it in Santa Clara at their team facility for quite some time. The big question when the 49ers hit the practice field around 10 a.m. will be who's going to be out there. Will Jauan Jennings be out there? And that was certainly one of the major topics when John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan met with the media on Tuesday. And what also kind of raised some eyebrows was when Kyle Shanahan was asked about preparing for potential contract drama with his players. And as a coach, it's just something that he has to kind of be wary of and prepare for and not get too upset with. And in the context of his answer, he mentioned, without unsolicited, Colton McKivitz. And so that raised some eyebrows. I'm going to tell you why I think Kyle Shanahan mentioned Colton McKivitz without even being asked about Colton McKivitz. And I'll just read you his entire answer here when asked about that drama. He said, and it was in relation, obviously, to Jauan Jennings. Jennings entering the second year of a 2-year contract, a 2-year, $15.3 million contract. His agent put it out there. He wants another contract. He wants a pay raise, or else he will request a trade. And according to John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, or at least Shanahan piped up that no, he has not requested a trade. But there is the specter that Jauan Jennings could hold in, just like Brandon Ayuk last year held in to get his contract. So when asked about the drama surrounding Jauan Jennings, here's what Shanahan had to say. He said, I see the same thing with Colton McKivitz. I mean, these are two guys to me, and it's very similar situations that I think the way they feel about us is the same way we feel about them. That's the easy part. The hard part's the business side. When people talk about how to avoid drama and stuff like that, and I'm not trying to say anything negative about it, I think it's just business. I don't call that drama. I call that business. Okay, so why would Kyle Shanahan bring up Colton McKivitz? Does that mean that Colton McKivitz is looking for a contract and he's going to hold in until he gets it? No, and I think that's the point. From what I'm hearing, from what I can gather, Colton McKivitz and the 49ers really haven't even talked about a contract extension, and there's a reason for that. It's because it's very similar to a year ago. If you go back, I mean, look at all the 49er free agents or players who were entering the final years of their contract a year ago. Aaron Banks, Dre Greenlaw, Charvarius Ward, Talanoa Hufanga. None of those guys held out for new deals because they were entering the final year of their contract. All of them decided play out the season and then take your chances in free agency. And the fact of the matter is, when guys hit the open market, when good players hit the open market, they freaking get paid. That's the way it is in the NFL. I mean, just look at the 49ers last year, and let's just take the offensive line, for instance. 49er fans were up in arms. They talked a lot about the failings of the offensive line last year. Well, their starting left guard, Aaron Banks, gets absolutely paid by the Green Bay Packers. Even a guy that the 49ers had as their swing tackle and not even a starter, Jalen Moore, gets $15 million a year. So those guys, all of the players at every position decided to play out the final year of their contract without causing any kind of ruckus, and they got paid. And so, again, all indications are, everything I'm hearing, 49ers and Colton McKivitz aren't necessarily working toward a new contract. Of course, that could change at a drop of a hat. But Colton McKivitz also isn't creating any kind of drama, like, I'm going to hold out if you're hold in and I'm not going to practice. And if I don't get my contract, I'm going to ask for a trade. And so I think in a very subtle way, or maybe not so subtle, Kyle Shanahan is putting it out there to Jauan Jennings to say, look, you and Colton McKivitz are in the same boat. You guys are entering the final year of your contract, if you play well, if you play like you did last season, or if you take your game to another level, you are going to get paid in a big way. Maybe not by the 49ers, but by some other team. And so therefore, it's kind of putting it out there, like, bet on yourself. Why sign an under market value deal right now when you can play out this season and cash in a big way? So I don't know what Jauan Jennings' plan is, but the 49ers were speaking very optimistically about him showing up and having a good meeting with him upon him showing up. And what John Lynch said specifically when it had to do with Jauan Jennings was, we anticipate, I won't speak for Jauan. He kind of stopped that thought. And then he said, we had a good visit with him. Anticipate him being out there. You guys know our feelings on JJ. He embodies what we want a 49er to be all about. He plays the right way, and we love him. And that's another thing. Another refrain of John Lynch's yesterday was, he's here and we love him, or I think it was the other way around. We love him and he's here. But I think it's pretty clear that the 49ers aren't necessarily sure that Jauan Jennings will be out there on the practice field when the 49ers take the field. And, that's his leverage, right? It's the hold-in situation. The 49ers need Jauan Jennings. I mean, you look at their wide receiver position, Ricky Pearsall will be out for the first 3 days, probably be active and ready to practice on Sunday. But you have Brandon Ayuk situation with the knee. The 49ers say nowhere near even coming up with a time frame for his return. But I'm thinking probably that's week 6 of the regular season. You have the uncertainty of Demarcus Robinson. What's the NFL going to do with him? And then, some young guys, Pearsall, I mentioned, Jacob Cowing, Jordan Watkins. So the 49ers have some issues there at the wide receiver position. And if Jauan Jennings is out there practicing, that kind of strips away at his leverage. And maybe he does decide, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to go to training camp. He's here, of course. Go to training camp, practice every practice that he can get, and put himself in a position to have a very big 2025 season and set himself up well for free agency. So one thing we've seen here in the last few years, wide receivers get paid, offensive linemen get paid. And the reason we talk about Jennings and Colton McKivitz in the same breath, basically, is because they're the only two starters. I'm going to put Jennings as a multi-year starter because he's been, a number 3 guy and really been a big part of this offense for quite some time now. The thing is, those are the only 2 guys, unlike a year ago, who are entering the final years of their contract and who are set up for big paydays, wide receiver position and the offensive line position. Those are 2 very premium positions in the NFL, and those guys will get paid. So, just look back to the player that Colton McKivitz replaced, Mike McGlinchey, $17.5 million a year from the Denver Broncos 2 years ago. Colton McKivitz stepped in as a starting right tackle after McGlinchey signed as a free agent, and he has not missed a start. 37 games. I think his first year as a starter, he got off to the rough start against TJ Watt. They kind of left him on an island a little bit, 3 sacks in that game that he gave up. According to PFF, take it for what it's worth, McKivitz gave up 2 sacks last year. His grades across the board were much better than year 1. The only negative I can see working against McKivitz is his age. He is 28 years old. He turns 29 on August 9th, and this is his 3rd year as a starter. But again, we saw how it's so difficult around the league for offensive linemen to step in and play productively. Right tackle is a premium position now. Maybe it wasn't so much in the past with all the emphasis on left tackle, but Colton McKivitz, one of these guys that it appears, he's going to be betting on himself, not causing any waves as far as his contract situation goes. And no coincidence at all, I don't think, that Kyle Shanahan chose to cite Colton McKivitz when asked about Jauan Jennings and any potential drama. Unsolicited, Colton McKivitz, Jauan Jennings in the same boat. One is handling it one way, where there's no rumblings about him seeking a new contract, fully expected to be out there on the practice field later today. And you know what? Jennings might be out there as well. Number 15 might be running around out there catching passes from Brock Purdy. But at least as of Tuesday, when the 49ers reported, there seemed to be some question about how he'll handle it. So that'll be the first question, first and foremost, that'll be answered when the 49ers take the practice field for their first practice of training camp on Wednesday. Where is Jauan Jennings, and is he practicing with his teammates? So thanks for tuning in. Rocking the UOP shirt, as I always do, on the first day of training camp. So looking forward to seeing the team out there and seeing how they look. Thanks for tuning in, and that is it for now.